We are very much fortunate to have Mr. Musharraf Zaidi. कल ही हमने इनके साथ जो है वी फाइनलाइज द अरेंजमेंट एक्चुअली, इसलिए इनका नाम इसमें फीचर नहीं कर रहा. मिस्टर मुशर्रफ ज़ैदी डजंट नीड एनी इंट्रोडक्शन. ही इज़ द फाउंडर ऑफ अलिफ एलान, और अलिफ एलान इज़ वन ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस विच इज़ द हॉलमार्क ऑफ पाकिस्तान. Now he is going to talk briefly on educating Pakistan's future generations. Pakistan का जो future है, whether it is with the digital or non-digital. So he is going to discuss about Pakistan's future generations and how to educate them. Thank you, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri yassir li wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. First of all, I wanted to thank Asfar for the opportunity. I try not to miss an opportunity to talk about education, but particularly given the quality of the audience, मैंने सोचा कि ये बहुत एक अहम मौका है मेरे लिए और बहुत खुशकिस्मती है कि ये इवेंट हो रहा था और मुझे ये मौका आपने दिया. मैं ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं लूँगा. I think a lot of people, when we talk about education, it's very easy for someone like me to end up offending people like you, because everybody knows there's an like, you know, for me to come here and say जी बहुत बड़ा बहुत गहरा कोई तालीम में problem है. Many of you have hired people throughout your careers, and you've found it difficult to find people of a quality and of a quantum that you need. Many of you watch television, and many of you live in this country, so it doesn't take rocket science to figure out that we do have a major crisis. I guess what I wanted to do is share a few data points with you and sort of and then ask for your help, because this campaign, which is funded by DFID, and you know I get paid to do this, but the real work of the campaign is done by people who believe in it and who take this forward because they actually believe in it, not because वो नौकरी कर रहे हैं. So I get to be the kind of amplifier, but it's really the voice of people, especially people like yourselves in this room, that have the influence to change the shape of the national conversation. So first, I just maybe present 4 questions and then try to answer those questions. असफर मुझे उर्दू में मतलब I can go back and forth. Very good. So पहली चीज़ तो ये है कि we should sort of, in order to have clarity about this topic, and you know the topic is educating Pakistan's future generation, and what I'll say is I'll stay off topic throughout the time that I've been allotted, because we can't think about the future without thinking about the present. So let's just assess where we are right now. Every figure I'll share with you is a government of Pakistan official figure, and where I use a data point that's not an official government data point, I'll tell you. Bear with me because I'm going to throw a bunch of numbers at you. वो कहते हैं कि campaigning में ज़्यादा numbers नहीं फेंकने चाहिए, but this isn't an ordinary audience. This is an audience of very sophisticated people, CEOs, sort of senior level managers who know how to deal with lots of numbers, so I'm going to throw a bunch of numbers at you. But first, 4 key questions. Who is and isn't in school? We should have some clarity about this if we're going to talk about this issue. Who stays in school and who leaves school? We should have some clarity about this. What school produces? I think you guys know better than I do what schools are producing in this country, but maybe we ask that question in a certain way. And then who's responsible for this whole situation? And I think we all know the easy answer to that, but there's a challenging sort of answer that I'll try to propose. On who is and isn't in school, nearly 7 out of 10 children all across the country, all income groups, are suffering some kind of malnutrition. Malnutrition, and the whole concept of malnutrition, begins at 3 months in the tummy. So when we are 3 months old, pre-birth is when our nutrition or malnutrition starts getting counted. So by the time a kid is 5 years old, which is the constitutional starting point for when every child in this country has a right to be in education, every child in this country has a right to be in school, वो 5 साढ़े 5 साल से या तो मेल न्यूट्रिशन हो रहा है या न्यूट्रिशन हो रहा है. लेकिन जो गवर्नमेंट के ऑफिशियल फिगर्स हैं वो ये कहते हैं कि 70% बच्चे किसी ना किसी तरह की मेल न्यूट्रिशन से सफ़र करते हैं इस मुल्क में. सो हु इज़ एंड इज़न्ट इन स्कूल से पहले all children have this problem, and obviously it's more likely जो out of school बच्चे रह जाते हैं वो ज़्यादा disproportionately malnutrition होंगे. लेकिन even kids that are in school are suffering some kind of malnutrition, not extreme malnutrition, but some kind of malnutrition. The poor, are disproportionately out of school. This is not rocket science, but official PSLM data, government ka data ye kehta hai कि those belonging to the bottom 20% of the income bracket are 6 times more likely to be out of school than in school. यानी कि जो बच्चे उन घरानों में रहते हैं जो 20% lowest quintile है, they are 6 times more likely to be out of school than in school as opposed to the top quintile. Girls are disproportionately out of school as opposed to in school, and that again is not rocket science. And children above the age of 9. So over the last decade, and particularly in the last 3-4 years, there's been a massive increase in the number of children being enrolled in primary school. But being enrolled in primary school does not mean that you're going to be producing people that can sit in this room, or that Asfar will ever need to do this event at a stadium because there's so many people. We don't have an economy that needs stadiums for this kind of a thing. If we're going to get there, kids can't just be in school from 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9. They have to be in school all the way through sort of, 12 years of schooling minimum. So 9 years and above पे जो drop off है in terms of enrollment वो बहुत severe है. अच्छा, फिर who stays and who leaves? Rich people stay in school, rich people's children stay in school. Most of them, in fact, almost all of them are now in private schools, and it's really worth their while to stay in those schools because they're going to end up going to LUMS and IBA, and if they're, if they're really lucky, they'll go to Harvard or whatever, Yale or Cambridge. Surprisingly, girls stay in government schools. So the enrollment numbers for girls in government schools are higher than enrollment numbers for boys. And there's lots of reasons for that, but that's kind of a surprising thing. And finally, the kids that stay in school are already dealing with Darwinism. So the kids that stay in school are tougher because they can take a beating from a teacher. They're tougher because they can walk further to school. They're better off because their parents are investing something in them, either the money to get to school or lunch money to eat at school, or the aslu usuq to be able to defend them from a particularly cruel teacher. Something or the other is already happening right for those kids. So if we believe in survival of the fittest, and our education system in the public sector is really about survival of the fittest, तो जो बच्चे स्कूल में रहते हैं वो already Darwinism के beneficiaries हैं, which means कि जो बच्चे स्कूल के बाहर हैं, they are victims of this Darwinistic sort of system that we have, where the poorest, the weakest, the most marginalized will have no chance at all of ever ending up in this room. What school produces, we all know it produces low quality outcomes for kids. That much is very clear. But our government schooling system in general and our overall education sector produces some very good things as well. And it's important to focus on the positive. हमेशा लोग कहते हैं कि positive भी आप बताया करें, तो मैं आपको positive share करता हूँ. हमारा तालीमी निज़ाम 3 groups के लिए बहुत ज़बरदस्त है, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह. सबसे पहले political workers जिनको नौकरियाँ मिली हैं बतौर teachers. It's been great for them, and there's been 3.5 generations of teachers that have been hired because they were people that were associated with MNAs and MPAs. That trend is now declining because in the Punjab for the last 7 years, in KP for the last 3 years, and in Sindh for the last 4 years, there's been something called merit-based recruitment. And as far as we can tell, that is genuine, and there is a really big improvement in the quality of teachers being hired today. But that means that the 690,000 government school teachers में से तकरीबन 60,000 ऐसे हैं जो पिछले 7 साल में हायर किए गए. तो उन 60,000 को निकाल के 6.5 लाख तकरीबन अभी भी ऐसे टीचर हैं जो essentially beneficiaries हैं उस patronage निज़ाम के, जहाँ being a political worker gets you a permanent job in the government and you get to stay in that job forever, whether you show up to work or not, whether you're any good at your job or not. So they're beneficiaries of the system. 2, building contractors. If you happen to be a building contractor and you get a contract to build a school, you do really well because the percentage commission on those kinds of contracts is very high. So the reason I'm sharing this with you, you may all know this already, but there are winners and losers. And you have to think of the competition between the winners and the losers and why we need campaigns funded by external donors and why in particular we need people like you to get excited about this is because the losers are children. especially girls, especially गरीब घरानों के बच्चे इतने इतने से. The winners are big muscular political workers and building contractors. Finally, the third group of winners, and this is where I will lose some friends in this room, are private sector profiteers. One of the biggest service sector boons in this country in the last 35 years has been private education provision. The destruction of the government school system has benefited people, including, it happens to be, my parents, who also run a private school in Islamabad. And many, many other people. I'll say nice things about my folks, but we know for a fact that there are thousands upon thousands of low-income, low-cost private schools, जहाँ पे उर्दू में अलिफ, नून, गाफ, लाम, शीन, मीडियम लिखा होता है. Puri GT Road is littered with those kinds of schools. They are producing either the same or worse outputs than government schools, but there is absolutely no regulation of them. And there's this mythology that somehow the private sector is the solution to everything. I think that's why I lost a few of you, but forgive me for that. The private sector is not the solution for everything. There is no example of any country in the world that has become highly educated and a high production economy on the back of low-cost private schools, जहाँ पे अलिफ, नून, गाफ, लाम, शीन, medium स्कूलों में अंग्रेजी पढ़ाई जा रही हो. It doesn't happen anywhere. It's not going to happen here. Finally, who's responsible for all this? Well, obviously, the government and the state are responsible, and the patronage system is responsible. We've had military governments and democratic governments, so both military and civilian governments are responsible. But one other group is responsible, and some of you are in this room as well. And essentially by association, myself as well, we're all essentially guilty, especially if we belong to the Pakistani elite or the Pakistani quasi-elite, or we aspire to be part of the elite, then we ourselves are contributors to and associates in this. So the responsibility isn't just on government, it's also on those people that can influence government. Asfar, I'm only going to take, I see you looking at your watch, I'm going to take literally maybe another 5 minutes or less. I just wanted to share, these are the data points I wanted to share with you. There's 154,144 government schools in Pakistan. 1.5 lakh तकरीबन government ने school बनाए पिछले 70 साल में. उनमें से जो 4 facilities government measure करती है, physical facilities, bathroom, boundary wall, पीने का पानी, चलते हुआ electricity का connection, ये 4 facilities. Any guesses as to how many of those 150,000 schools have all 4 at the same time? It's 52%. 52% of schools have it. That means 48% of all schools are missing at least one of those things. Most are missing at least 2. So that's one data point. Second, any guess as to how many of this 150 percentage-wise, 1.5 lakh में से कितने primary school होंगे और कितने non-primary, यानी कि middle or secondary or higher secondary? ये division. Now let's just, for a second, think about what it should be. It should be roughly even. If there's 100 kids, the 100 kids should go to primary school, and then those 100 kids should go to middle school, and then those 100 kids should go to high school. So any guesses as to what percentage of all schools, government schools in Pakistan, are primary schools? That's spot on, 80%. 80%. Now what that means in terms of a data point, it's not shocking, just you have to think about it in terms of a pipeline, because a lot of you are in manufacturing. So imagine there's this big ass pipe with like 53 million things in it, 53 million children. That's the pipe that is the whole of Pakistan. There's 53 million kids between the ages of 5 and 16. And then you make another pipe that is not 100%, not 50%, not 40%, is only 14% of that size. And we'll call that middle school. And that's what you have. So what the system, the government, society, rich people, the elite, we're all getting together and saying that, hey kids, only 14 and 100 of you are going to go after class 5. बाकी आप सबकी तकदीर में class 5 तक लिखा हुआ है, क्योंकि आप सब शुद्रे हो, आपकी कोई हैसियत नहीं है. That's essentially what the system is saying to them. So the pipeline goes from 100, zap. In primary school, it goes to 80, and then it's 14% for middle school, and then it's even less for higher secondary school. 30% of all government schools are single teacher schools, and 16% of all government schools are single classroom schools. And the disproportionate number of those, ये जो आखिरी 2 हैं, ये ज़्यादातर बलूचिस्तान और rural Sindh में हैं. So again, in terms of the picture, it becomes more and more clear. who's better off, who's worse off, not just in terms of gender, girl or boy, and not just in terms of income, rich or poor, but also in terms of where you happen to be born, what language you speak at home, what kind of fields or mountains or deserts you play in as you grow up. And then finally, a little bit of myth busting. Kisi ne myth ki baat, I think Nadeem, you mentioned mythology, that there's all these myths that emerge and then nobody challenges them and then we start believing them. The biggest single myth that I would invite you to join me in helping bust is pretending that there is a demand side problem in education in Pakistan. I have spent 20 years in Islamabad watching senior bureaucrats, God bless all of them, saying to Goras who come to Pakistan to help Pakistan, like, DFID comes and funds something like Alif Elan, इस तरह बहुत सारे और projects कितने सालों से चल रहे हैं, और वो bureaucrat और वो सियासतदान और वो सारे, our culture, we don't like to educate our girls. The poors in our country, there's religious extremism and there's tribalism and it's all bullshit. I'm sorry about my language, but you have to be if you see bullshit, you have to call it exactly as it is. Okay? Now, what's the proof of this? Is Pakistan more conservative than Iran, jahan pe state-sanctioned hijab hai? It is not, by any stretch of the imagination. Is it more conservative than Saudi Arabia? Absolutely not, right? Now let's look at the girls' enrollment rates at primary and secondary school levels in these three countries. The primary enrollment rate in Iran, these are gross enrollment rates, so they tend to be above 100 क्योंकि उसमें मुख्तलिफ एजेस के बच्चों को काउंट किया जाता है, so don't be shocked. ईरान में प्राइमरी लेवल पे 105% प्राइमरी ग्रोस एनरोलमेंट रेट है, सऊदी अरब में 108% है, पाकिस्तान में 86% है. सेकेंडरी में सोने पे सुहागा हो जाता है क्योंकि सऊदी में 117% ग्रोस एनरोलमेंट रेट है, which means that over age girls are also enrolled in the high school level. ईरान में 83% है सेकेंडरी स्कूल में, पाकिस्तान में क्या है? 31%. So, when people say it's our culture, I try to compare that with Iran and Saudi Arabia and think, is our culture more conservative and restrictive than those cultures? It absolutely, by no stretch of the imagination, is. Also, when you drive on the GT road, you do see all those private schools, जो 100 रुपए, 250 रुपए, 150 रुपए, 50 रुपए फीस ले रहे हैं, और छक उनमें बच्चे भरे हुए हैं. There is a massive exodus of children people are trying to get their kids into school. You talk to any principal of a half-decent school, they'll tell you कि 24 घंटे उनको सिफारिशें आ रही होती हैं. So, when we make up this myth of demand ka problem hai, we're actually lying to ourselves and we're lying to others. There is not a demand side problem in Pakistan, there is a supply side problem in Pakistan. The responsibility for building a school to which a girl living in Kohistan can attend does not fall on the girl. The 5-year-old girl in Kohistan is not responsible for the state of society that has a 1,000-year history. The responsibility for enabling her journey from her home to the school falls on the state, and it's not a responsibility that Musharraf Zaidi keh raha hai ya Asfar keh raha hai. It's a responsibility that is owned by the constitution of this country. So we must invest in busting the mythology of our culture being a problem. Our culture is fantastic. It's suffered from many indignities. All cultures have them. We should stop beating our own culture up. Our religious values, alhamdulillah, there's nothing, there's 1.5 billion Muslims. It's all good, man. We can be Muslim and Pashtun, and we can be kind of misogynistic, which we all are, and we can still educate our girls. If Iran can do it and Saudi Arabia can do it, then why the hell can't Pakistan do it? So on that note, I would like to thank you for your attention, and thanks to Asfar once again.